Welcome to Site Access, where stories open doors. So whether you like a chat, want a coffee, or pondy poddy, I'm sorry. You know me, man. First episode nerves. I get a little bit carried away. I see the cameras and the lights, and yeah, you know, man. 247 showtime. But okay, let's run that back. Apologies. Welcome to Site Access, where conversations open doors. I'm Abs.
I'm Z.
And today, Z's in the hot seat. So Z, we're putting you in the hot seat. We've never really done this, so we're going to go with the flow, freestyle it, forget the CV, forget the LinkedIn, get the raw, uncut version from Z.
Yep.
And you know, as Jay Huss once said, what's the crack, what's the story?
Yeah, just a normal kid, normal lad. You know, I was born and raised in Northwest London, Wembley. Moved around as a kid a little bit. Mum's East Ender, so lived in East London for a bit as well. Yeah, dad's an accountant, got his own accountancy practice. Mum's housewife. And yeah, I was always enshrined from our younger days, you know, studying and things like that. So I was a bit of a geek back in the days. Still am, maybe. But yeah, loved geography, loved history. Love maths and physics, obviously. Dad's an accountant, you know, loved crunching numbers. So kind of maybe it's a genetic thing of loving maths. But yeah, also love playing cricket, you know, for my young kids.
Man, let's stop there. I'm a big cricket fan.
Yep.
Now, I've mentioned I was a big fan of Jason Roy. So who was your...
You know what? Even though he was a lefty, Marcus just got thick. Because when I was a Colt back in the days...
Was the era,
Yeah, I mean, used to open batting and bowling. So Shane Bond was probably one of my favourite bowlers. Which is a bit strange because obviously...
It's Australian.
Yeah, no,
New Zealand.
He's a Kiwi, the Kiwi.
Bond, I have fond memories of cricket. I've been to the Oval, so I can only imagine being born and raised in Northwest, that if you ever went to the Oval, what kind of atmosphere it was. So, but what sort of kid were you growing up?
So yeah, look, I love studying, as I mentioned before. You know, normal life experiences. Obviously, growing up in Northwest London, you know, you do have a bit of some crazy experiences, crazy stories to tell. But yeah, just your normal kid.
When we've spoken before, you said to me that one thing your parents were big on was you being a well-rounded or well-travelled figure, well growing up. Why was that important?
Yeah, look, I think my dad, he liked to travel. We liked history, obviously. Same with my mum. So they made sure when we were younger that we travelled quite a lot. So I went to multiple countries, and I think that kind of shaped my mentality, you know, help shape me as a person, because you kind of see how different cultures are and how different places are. You know, even like traveling to Italy or places like Spain, or even back home to Pakistan, or obviously, you know, our ethnicity is, or our heritage is, you know, like kind of grounds you a little bit, you know. And obviously that love for history as well, man. I feel like that kind of helped maybe shape my future and maybe what I wanted to become as well. You know, like going to Rome, for example, seeing a Colosseum and thinking like, wow, how did these guys build this, you know, in ancient times, you know, or even like the Eiffel Tower. I also went to Malaysia as well when I was younger, which was, that kind of like opened my eyes in terms of what I wanted to do in life, you know.
Quick fire question.
Yep.
What's your favourite spot that you've been to?
I would say Malaysia, to be honest, you know.
So Malaysia's somewhere, so I've been to the Colosseum, absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, amazing.
It's bonkers how big it is, how it's structured. Jealous, haven't been to Malaysia. Now, you mentioned you've been to these places, and I would presume that that's where your interest stemmed from. Yeah. But was there really one moment where it really like clicked?
Yeah, I mean, like when I went to Malaysia, I know we keep going on about Malaysia, but at that time, the Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur was like the second tallest building. And I remember little old me, you know, just looking up at the building, thinking, wow, like it was, you know, like a surreal moment. Like you felt like it wasn't reality. It was that type of moment. And that's when I was like, you know what? I want to, in the future, be able to have some sort of play some part in building something like this, right? And that's kind of where my fascination with maybe construction, built environment, or buildings in general kind of stem from, you know? So yeah, that was that moment.
So you mentioned Petronas Towers, Colosseum, some magnificent buildings. But these are like very architecturally sound. And at one point I remember you telling me that you wanted to be an architect, albeit you're an engineer now. So what happened there?
Well, never been the most artsy person, but yeah, I mean, I wanted to definitely be an architect back when I was a teen, and that kind of stemmed from, I remember being at a family wedding, and there was this a family member who was very stylish, you know, nice sports car, etc. So kind of maybe thought, oh, I'm curious, maybe I want to become an architect, But like I said, never the most artsy person and things like that.
So now you've got this interest in buildings.
Yep.
You've got this interest in engineering. And eventually you have to decide what you're going to do in life. And like most Asian households, and I can tell you that, university wasn't really optional, was it?
University is always the option, I think. Probably the only option.
I disagree because I came from an apprenticeship route, so me and him are at different parts of the table. But we'll agree to disagree.
Now, look, I think both routes have their pros and cons, right? But yeah, look, uni was always a thing, I guess, and yeah, but I think during high school, you kind of had to make that decision. And I think apprentice weren't that big at that time, apprenticeships. But yeah, I was always good at maths and physics, but not that great at drawing or had that sort of artsy sort of skill set. So I kind of had to make a decision where, what do I do? I remember having a conversation with my head teacher at that time. And she said, look, do what, you feel you're better at, rather than doing something that maybe might take you a little while to kind of get around or develop some skills. So I think at that moment I wanted to maybe go more into civil engineering. I remember I had this uncle actually. He, again, I don't know what it is, sports cars, nice pad and Docklands, nice little apartment in Docklands and things like that. And he was an engineer. He was actually an electrical engineer, but I didn't know the difference at that time, right? Between a civil engineer, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, etc. But yeah, so I went for civil engineering. And I thought, look, let me apply for civil engineering because it's to do with buildings, etc. And yeah, man, like UCAS time, gone through GCSEs, for example, picked engineering actually as a double award GCSE. We actually, it was actually a really interesting GCSE, to be honest. We made like a can crusher and things like that, yeah. But yeah, got really good grades, GCSE. Went into A-levels, doing maths, physics, chemistry as well, business studies, dropped chemistry afterwards because didn't really feel like I was doing too well in it. But maths and physics were always my strong points. And yeah, that kind of laid the foundation essentially. But again, I think after the A-levels, applying to civil engineering, and then yeah, man, I actually got accepted to University of Manchester. So I thought, let me move out of London, away from my parents. I was always quite an independent person as well. Luckily, Mumsy taught us that independence, taught us how to iron our own clothes, wash our own clothes.
Mine didn't. I was...
Make a tea.
I was fully fed in every respect. Let me tell you that.
But yeah, I was independent, bro. Like, I was actually really independent. It's the same for my older brother as well. Like, mum taught us how to cook eggs and things like that. So I did want to kind of move out, get that experience. So yeah, I went to Manchester, all the way in Northwest, rainy city, they call it. Also a Manchester United fan.
Okay, and this is the end of the podcast.
But yeah, uni time, just normal. You know how uni is, bro. Like, and especially moving out away from home, different sort of experience. I think from the get-go, you need to make friends because otherwise, it can get lonely. And being away from family obviously doesn't help as well. So you got to have that sort of circle, But yeah, man, uni was a good life. I'm sure you've had that experience as well.
You mentioned Manchester. You mentioned university. You mentioned a lot of engineering and all sorts of courses. Now, I know how it is to get into university, albeit I went a route with an employer, but I actually had used UCAS to sign up to full-time education. Was it plain and simple to get into, or did you have to jump through any hoops? Or
yeah, obviously going through the UCAS, A-levels, etc., you applied to the courses. I did get, conditional offers or whatever it was. But then during my A-levels, kind of maybe mucked about a little bit. Maybe focus wasn't there. So I didn't get the grades that I required to get into the course because, as you know, engineering courses have a very high bar in terms of the required grades, right? But when I did get my results, 3 Bs, still good results.
Well done.
Maths and physics as well, bloody hard subjects. I got offered foundation year, which is, kind of beneficial to an extent, rather than, not getting in at all, at least to give you the option to do the foundation year. So, yeah, that obviously a bit gutted, but then happy at the same time to get into university. So, yeah, man, I accepted the offer.
So at that point, sorry to cut, at that point, when you didn't get the grades you wanted, was there a certain grade you wanted? or was
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously,
everyone wants
you
to
want to
get the
get top
best,
grades.
but as in, did you set for that? Because obviously, if you don't get the grades that you're expecting, then plans change. So did you think your plans were over, or did you kind of, was it
No,
mitigation or what?
I didn't think they were over. Obviously, you do think the worst, but then when it came to results day, and then you kind of see, all right, you know what, maybe the offers, or I've got an offer, then I get to go to the university, even though it's maybe not the course. Maybe I'm having to do 1 year extra now. You know, that can be a little bit of a setback, but at the same time, maybe it's a blessing in disguise, right? You're still getting into university, so yeah.
And was Manchester your first choice?
Yeah, it was actually. Again, like, did want to kind of, you know, I'm feel like I'm an explorer. I like going to new places, as obviously mentioned. I like history and things like that, and exploring new places. So yeah, I thought, you know what, maybe let me move out of London, go to Manchester. Obviously, it's a decent university as well, decent city. I'm a Man United fan, you know. So yeah, I mean, obviously independent as well. So I didn't mind. My parents didn't mind me moving out as well. They kind of trusted me as well. So yeah, man, went to Manchester. Bit of a, you know.
Selective with his words.
Now, great city, man. I call it my second home. So, you know, amazing city, rainy city as we call it. But yeah, I mean, good experience, you know. University, as you know, can be challenging, you know, especially engineering, bro. Like, engineering is a head-on course where it's just like full-on, non-stop exams, practicals, you know, things like that. But going through the foundation, yeah, was a bit of a walk in the park. It's kind of like A-levels 2.0 to an extent. But again, like, when you go to university, also having that independence, maybe your focus isn't there, you know, you're mucking around a little bit, you know, exploring the city and exploring uni life, etc.
Don't be lazy.
So yeah, man, obviously, like I said, my ambitions wanted to be a civil engineer, but there was kind of like a pass rate where you had to get 60%.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get that 60%. I got like 58%, for example. So come the end of the year,
What did you actually get?
I got 58.
Oh, okay.
Not lying about that one. But yeah, I didn't get enough percentage from the foundation here to get into civil engineering or any of those like civil structural engineering sort of courses. But I did get into electronic engineering.
Okay.
So now this was a bit of a change to my plans. You know, it's a bit of a spanner in the works.
Because I'm a very competitive person, very super critical of myself, set boundaries high.
Yep.
Most people would be devastated. But like, you seem to be a very optimistic person where you're always trying to see the positive in things, and
100%.
you're self-aware, but you understand the realism in it. So
Yeah,
what were you thinking?
I mean, look, I'm a true believer in divine fate and destiny, right? Qadar of Allah. You know, what's written. And, you know, like, look, you might have an ambition to do something, but it doesn't always work that way. You know, nothing's a smooth line, you know? You have ups and downs, you know, it's a bit of a zigzag. But yeah, look, I thought, you know what, let me have a bit of gratitude. At least I'm able to get onto another course, you know? And obviously, look, I like maths and physics anyway. So engineering, doesn't matter which discipline, you're still going to be doing maths and physics, right?
And this is where electrical engineering enters the story, eh?
Yeah.
So you're on what, second year or year one?
It's year one.
Year one,
Yep.
electrical engineering. So I know from studying building services that all the engineers are together for year one. So what's that like?
Nah, so actually it wasn't like that.
Oh, is it not? Okay.
No.
My bad. Only me.
So some courses, you're right, overlapped. And yes, you did have maybe people from other engineering courses. But again, it was electrical and electronic. So it was a bit of both, right? But it was head-on, man. We had a lot of practicals. I think we had 12 exams in a year, you know? And it was just proper intense, you know? But look, by the will of Allah, you know, alhamdulillah, managed to get through it. Got decent grades, you know, got 2-1, whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, like, I think one thing that I kind of do regret during that bachelor's period, should we call it, or university, was that I didn't do any sort of, you know, sandwich year placement or some sort of internships or whatever it was. Because I feel like after university, that's when I had a bit of a setback. You know, after my bachelor's, actually, I went in, you know, like with engineering, you can do a BEng or MEng, for example, right? I was actually on an MEng course, right? But then when it came to like the fourth year, I was like the topics or the modules or the subjects weren't exactly what I wanted to kind of go into. I enjoyed like power engineering sort of things. Like even though during like bachelor's we learned a bit of electronic side of things like coding, you know, programming Java, C, etc. But I was more interested in the power engineering side of things, right? But I felt like the MNG year, the fourth year, didn't have the topics that I wanted to do. So what I did is like I think like maybe just 3 months into my MNG year, I managed to just, you know, maybe be like, you know what, let me scrap this. Let me take my bachelor's, graduate in the winter, and then let me try find a job, you know? But again, maybe that weren't the best option or decision I made, to be honest, because like after I graduated, I was literally for a whole year trying to find a job, you know?
But looking back now, had you not done electrical engineering, that probably changed everything, you know, because if that didn't happen, the rest of your career doesn't happen either.
Exactly.
So essentially, it's like that paved where you are right now.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like in hindsight, you don't look at those things, right?
Oh, 100%.
You're kind of just going through the moment. Obviously, you are planning for your future and stuff like that. But like I said, it doesn't always work out how you intend it to or what you envision. So yeah.
100%. And if you think about it, you've hit the nail on the head there. So now I've got the story in my head. You finish university. You've got the degree. You've done what you're supposed to do. In hindsight, life should be all sorted, right? You should be able to hit the ground running, no?
True. But then also, I think after university, you think that you'll get a job like that, right? But that wasn't the case. So like after I graduated, I thought, you know, let me try to apply for some jobs, especially in engineering. Like I said, I always wanted to go into construction. So I kind of maybe focused more on that element or that aspect. But again, you know, like getting through maybe first phase of not interviews, but like the first step of applying and things like that, but then no feedback, you know, all negative. And at that time, maybe helped my dad out with his business accountancy as well. And, you know, kind of maybe thought, you know what, let me maybe scrap being an engineer, scrap going into construction, why not maybe just go into accountancy, maybe take over the family business or whatever it is. But just wasn't, you know, kind of hitting right. Like I grinded throughout that whole period of studying engineering, which you're aware of, how hard it is, how difficult, stressful, late nights, etc., revision. But I just felt like my ambition, you know, my goals and targets was always to kind of go into engineering or construction. That's where I felt like I saw myself, you know. But yeah, man, basically like, I wasted essentially a whole year, got, you know, no feedback, no job offers. So basically I was just like, you know, doing nothing for a whole year.
So let's just circle back on that. You've graduated, you've done nothing for a year. That's what you think. You've tried, obviously. Now you're still living with the parents?
Parents, yeah, still living with
So
my
how does that work in a South Asian household? Because I know if I was unemployed for a year, if I was unemployed for a month, my dad would be biting my ear off, telling me, what are you wasting your time for? You're no good. Get out there. So how were family? Were they supportive or?
Yeah, they were supportive because they kind of knew that, you know, maybe it's not as easy to get a job, you know. Very supportive, you know. But then again, look, I was helping my dad out as well, so that was a bit of pocket money for me here and there.
What were you helping him out with?
There's accounting business, you know, crunching numbers, tax returns, etc., corporation tax and whatnot. So that was maybe I didn't see it as a job because you're helping your dad out, right? But still, I was not doing what I intended to do, you know. But that's when I kind of thought, all right, now I need to actually, you know, pull my weight up, yeah. And if I can't get a job right now, right, what do I need to do to help me better my chances, right? Because we all know, like I was mentioning before, one of my biggest regrets was maybe not doing a internship or some sort of sandwich year, you know, because like engineers or people who I know in the industry, family members, for example, they kind of always told me, look, do an internship, but, you know, sometimes laziness kicks in, you're enjoying yourself, etc., you know, you don't want to work during the summer, you want to relax, right? Then I thought, you know what, it was always in one of my goals to complete a master's, you know, even though I scrapped the MNG, but a postgraduate master's, for example, right? And I was like, you know what, let me do my master's, at least it's a tick in a box for one of my goals. Also, we always talk about chartership and things like that, you know, it always helps you, right?
He's got a qualification, but he's not chartered.
No comment.
He's lazy.
But yeah, look, I thought, you know what, let me apply for my master's, right? But this time round, I'm gonna go somewhere close by to where I live, right? Because I didn't want to commute too much. I didn't want to live out either. So obviously, I'm not working, haven't been working for the whole year essentially, like a proper job. So I didn't get to save up what I maybe wanted to kind of move out again and do masters elsewhere. But yeah, I applied for Brunel, right? I applied actually for two masters, building service engineering with sustainable energy and sustainable electrical power. I was a bit split, a bit unsure, a bit indecisive into like what master I wanted to do because I did want to go into construction, but also I did like power engineering, right? And then yeah, like I remember speaking to a few of my family members who were in the industry, right? And I asked them, look, what do you feel like I should do? So their advice as well, look, do a master's which is specific to help you get into the industry that you want to do or the career path, right? So then I was like, look, I always wanted to go in construction, built environment, love buildings or whatnot, engineering as well. Obviously, coming from electronic engineering, there is a pathway into construction, right? As an electrical engineer. So that's when I was like, look, let me go for building services engineering. And then, yeah, man, I started my master's. One thing about the master's, though, it was mechanically biased, right?
It's good, right?
Good, but obviously coming from an electrical background, even though maybe like first principles are similar, but it's still not the same sort of discipline, it's a bit more different in terms of like...
So why did you choose building services then?
Because again, it was very specific into helping me get into construction industry, But again, I've believed in myself. I thought, look, if I can do electronic engineering, it's engineering are the same, it's problem solving, equations, calculations and whatnot, theoretical stuff.
I've got a question. So
Yep.
I haven't done a postgrad,
Yep.
done undergrad. How different is it? Is it actually
It's intense,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's like building upon things and being a bit more specific in terms of the topics and the content that you're learning. Whereas in the bachelor it's a bit more wide range than maybe you do select a few. But this one with the masters, it's a full year. We're not talking about like university term was like, what was it, September to maybe June or whatever. This was a full year, full calendar year, 12 months. So you can imagine, and then having to learn new topics essentially or a new discipline, that was a bit of a hard time for me. But luckily, I met some good people in the course, my course mates, I'll call them. They helped me a lot because they came more from a mechanical engineering background, right? And yeah, man, like, so if I was stuck with anything or stuck on a certain topic, they always helped me. Obviously, there was a bit of electrical engineering modules as well, which was good. But everything was very specific to construction or building services.
Now, you're in your masters.
Yep.
You previously told me something about there was a friend from India.
Yep. So still a lifelong friend, I would call him. He actually helped me a lot, to be honest. Through the masters, he was a mechanical engineer, but when he came from India, obviously, to study masters over here in the UK in London, and he was working part-time at a particular company.
Shout out to the company.
Yeah, shout out to the company. But he was working there in India, and then obviously when he moved for the masters, he was working there part-time in the London office, right? And I think this was the period where we started to apply for jobs, right? I think, December, January, whatever it was, or kind of just after winter. And he was like, look, this company that he works for, he's obviously told me about it. It looks like a great company. He was like, look, they're hiring for a graduate role, Why don't you give me your CV and I'll apply for you. Done that. During this time, I was applying to other jobs, etc., and things like that. Obviously, trying to get my foot in the door in the industry, right? But yeah, man, I managed to kind of get through that next stage, initial interview or whatever, just very generic, not very technical topic.
You patented it, yeah?
What?
The job or no?
Not at this point. Not at this point.
Damn, he's building it up. He's giving it to me.
Obviously, look, this is like a big time moment in your life, right? You want to get a job, or this will help you get into your, your career, what you wanted to do from when you were a kid or young or whatever it was, right? But yeah, I got through like the first step, and then the next step was assessment center.
Oh,
right?
I know about the assessment days.
Yeah, because obviously you talked about it before in your.
So tell me about
story,
it. So listen, I'd say, look, I know you well enough. I'm extroverted, and I can go in and I can talk to a brick wall.
Yep.
How were you feeling? Because I can only imagine that through the years you've become more ambivert. Whereas, were you were you scared? Were you bricking it, or was?
You're right. Maybe I was more introverted than I am now, to an extent. I would say I'm more of an ambivert now, but yeah, I was introverted, man. I hate public speaking. Like, you know, just only talk if I need to talk. If you get what I mean, right? But yeah, I was. I don't even want to swear, but yeah, I was bricking it. You know.
So you turn up.
Yep.
Where was it again?
It was in central London.
Central London. So you turn up in central London.
Yep.
I presume you used public transport.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so you got public transport to central London.
Yep.
This is you'd say your first kind of break. Tell me how you felt when you were.
Well, it was kind of like my first ever assessment centre, first ever interview. I didn't know what to expect, you know. I think maybe rewinding a little bit back, got a big up Glassdoor. Do you know about Glassdoor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember like when
you
I
read the reviews.
Yeah. So like when I remember getting offered like you want to come attend the assessment centre and accepting straight away, obviously bricking it, I thought, all right, I need to revise. I've always been a last minute.
And what was the role?
It was graduate electrical engineer.
Okay.
Yeah. So electrical engineering, but as a graduate, right? And I remember I was like, look, I need to revise. I've always been a last minute revision type of guy, but this time I prepared proper. You know, searching the internet, asking people, what was your assessment centre like? Like, can you give me some tips and tricks, etc. But then I remember going to Glassdoor, right? So I got a big up Glassdoor, man.
Old type Glassdoor.
They, on the platform Glassdoor, right? There was like 2 or 3 reviews which went through the assessment centre, like how it's going to be. Not exactly, but kind of giving you a bit of a flavour, right? So I was like, all right, cool. You know what? Let me just take this as it is and try and rehearse or whatever, revise. And yeah, man, like I remember speaking to my mate who helped refer me. I was like, look, can you maybe speak to some of the graduates at the company right now? And, you know, let me get their number. Let me chat to them. Let me see how their assessment centre went, etc. I actually spoke to one guy who's a very good friend of mine now as well. But yeah, I remember on the day of the assessment centre, I woke up extremely early.
You're not one of them guys, are you?
What?
Where if your flight's at 10 in the morning, you're there at 3 a.m.
Yes, I like doing that, to be honest.
Don't be lazy.
Got there extra early. I remember going on the train. I'm just like, all right, you know, like you're a bit gassed to an extent, right? You know, like, but then nerves is also kicking in.
So your nerves are kicked in.
Yeah, nerves are kicking in.
You're en route. You turn up in this gaff in central London.
Yep.
You walk through the door.
Yeah.
And what do you see?
So walk through the door, go just see loads of people.
Okay.
You know, loads of young people, meaning these were other candidates.
From where?
All walks of life, man. Obviously, mostly engineers, but that assessment centre wasn't just for my position. It was for multiple. I think there was about 20 graduate positions at that time, and that was like that one assessment centre, right? So I remember walking in, seeing all sorts of people, and I was still a bit nervous, right? But yeah, man, assessment centre started, gave a bit of introductions about the company.
Sorry, let's run you back. I got a serious question.
Go on.
What did you wear?
A suit, obviously. You had to wear a suit.
Because I wore grey. So what was your suit?
My suit was like a striped navy suit.
Okay.
Right?
So not as flash as the...
Yeah, I had the trench coat on as well.
So
Obviously, it was like just in between winter and spring, so it's still a bit cold, windy, etc. But yeah, assessment centre starts, right? They give introductions, you know, maybe talk about how the assessment centre is going to go. This is now when I'm like, all right, you know, I know maybe a bit of how the itinerary is going to be from Glassdoor, but this one was followed the same exact, right? Except for like the team exercise, which we'll get onto. But the first assessment, essentially, was a test, right? A bit of like an exam. Didn't know what to expect, by the way.
That was your first challenge?
Yeah, that was the first challenge. Didn't know what to expect. But I was thinking it must be more relevant for construction or building services, what I've, you know, kind of been studying. So yeah, man, I was completely right. So it was like cable sizing and whatnot, short circuit calculations, etc. So I was confident. After that test was done, I was confident that, all right, cool, you know what, at least that's one thing that's gone straightforward, yeah?
So you've done the first thing
Yep.
and you're confident.
Yep.
Then what was next?
Next was team exercise.
Oh, interesting.
So
People
now,
you never met before.
Yeah, people you never met before, right? So and like I said, I was a bit introverted, right? But I remember like when revising or looking at online, they said, look, you always should be confident, introduce yourself, be talkative, look like social, because that team exercise is to show how you're a team player, right? And how you kind of gel within a team. That's what they assess on you on, correct? Not just your technical skills, because that was a test. This is more from your team player skill set. But yeah, man, the team exercise, I still remember this point when they were going through what the team exercise is going to consist of, and they were talking about it's going to be, you guys need to, in your teams, you're going to be split into a couple of teams. You got to introduce yourselves, maybe talk about this is the solution, meaning that they gave us a topic, the topic was we had to use all of our dissertations topics and come up with a solution that's related to the construction industry or build environment, for example, right? And then we got to give a presentation, right? And I remember when they said presentation and when we were about to start team exercises, a couple of people walked out, right?
Say that again,
They
sorry?
walked out because they didn't want to do the presentation, right? They were nervous, right? And it happens, right? People got butterflies or things like that.
Did you walk out?
Me, I was about to, and when you're thinking like when they're walking out, you're like, damn, should I just do it? This is probably the right opportunity to walk out. But then I was like, look, I'm here, made it this far, can't disappoint myself, right? Because look, bro, when you disappoint yourself, it's not a good feeling, right? So yeah, man, team exercise started now. As soon as we get put into our teams, I'm like, all right, you know what? Got to introduce myself, be sociable, be talkative, kind of get out of my comfort zone, right? Start to talk about my dissertation. Then I start to like throw ideas, listen to other people's ideas, and maybe try and kind of, stir the solution, And obviously people are observing, the assessors, etc. And then now time comes for the presentation, right? And we go last. My team goes last. And
What's that line? Save the last, the best
best
to
to
last.
last. Say the best to last, of course. But I remember like when all the other team members are going, basically before you start your presentation, you got to give an introduction of yourself, where you study, etc. And I remember like looking at these guys or these people, right? Some of them are like Oxford University, Cambridge University, talking very nicely, look like intelligent people. I'm just there like, what the hell, man?
I'm from
like,
Wembley.
I'm from Wembley. Like,
I'm from the hood.
I'm just there. I was like, you know what? Just block it out. Yeah. Now it's our turn to do presentation. Go smoothly, right? It was good. Like I talked about my dissertation, which was like, it was actually related to the construction industry. It was about modeling energy consumption within the UK and within like dwellings, domestic houses, etc. Things about heat pumps and all that sort of stuff. So I think that kind of maybe impressed some of the assessors as well, that it's fully relatable. But then I got asked questions. There's a Q&A after the presentation, right? And like I think one of the assessors, he was a principal engineer at the time. He asked me a question like, what do heat pumps, like, do they have any benefit? What's the benefit of them? So obviously I answered the question. And then, after that exercise, I was a bit more confident in it. Like I was fully confident. I was like, you know what, that went well. 2 things have gone well now. Now it's the third part of the assessment center and it's interview time with hiring manager and director.
And prior to that, have you had any interviews?
Nah. So I've had like video interviews, but they weren't technical, Or do you know what I mean? Like they were more like, oh, tell us about yourself, da 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 da. Like it wasn't like more into detail. It was just like, you have initial interviews, right? Now this one, walked in, obviously I'm confident now from last 2 exercises, go and introduce myself, stiff handshake, always keeping eye contact, very important, right? Introducing yourself when they ask you what you do, etc., talking about blah, blah. And yeah, my interview went good. Obviously, they asked me things that were related, which I already knew about building services, about what electrical engineers do in the industry or would be doing at this company, things like that. And then I remember them asking me, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I was like, look, I want to get chartered, which didn't manage to hit just yet after 5 years in my career.
Still hasn't done it.
And then, man, just talked about where I see myself 5 years, projects under my belt, for example, maybe we get promoted, etc. And then they were like, they cracked a bit of a joke with it, like, well, in 5 years, I want to be on a yacht or a boat in the Caribbean. You know what I'm saying?
You had the interview?
So now with the interview's done. Like, I asked questions as well. I thought interview went solid as well, right? I think like they were.
You got 3 green ticks.
Three green ticks in
your
my
eyes.
eyes. Yeah, in my
So you're
eyes.
thinking, you know what? I'm feeling good, positive. Did you think I might actually get this?
Yeah. When I went back home, you
So
were praying.
You walk through the door, and your dad knows that you went for an interview.
Yeah, they went no.
So you
Yeah,
walk through
look,
the door, and he goes, "Son, how's it going? What are you saying?"
I was like, look, it went good, but let's see. Look, my parents are very optimistic people, right? I'm more of a pessimistic sort of person.
Yeah, you
Sometimes,
don't
yeah.
know it.
Well, I'm a realist. Like, I'm a bit of both, right? Yeah, I thought I was confident, but bro, you never know. Like, you know, like, again, you're thinking there's like 30, 40 other people there, you know? Like, you don't know. It's like you live it by chance. Obviously, you're confident, but you never know how it goes. But look, then after that, prayed my prayers, you know, thanked Allah, you know, prayed that, please, give me this role. So yeah, I got home now, obviously done my prayers, prayed to Allah, look, please make me successful. Please help me get this job because, like I said, man, it's always been it's that way to get your foot in the door, right, and start your career. So yeah, man, obviously done my prayers, etc. Next day came.
And when did they say they'll let you know?
So I think it was maybe a couple of days after. I remember this was like exam period or approaching exam period, so we were revising or doing some coursework or whatever. I remember being in the library. I remember getting a call, and this was at like 6 p.m. or something like that. And you know, like 0208 number or whatever it is. So you're thinking, who the hell's calling me at this time? And then I remember it was the HR manager or whatever. And then obviously they're like, look, congratulations. Like, you've got the job, right? And obviously at this point,
Congratulations.
yeah, man, I was just ecstatic.
How did you feel?
You know, like, weight come off your shoulders. Like, you know, you've been working throughout.
Years of unemployment.
Yeah. Years of
His dad's
unemployment.
proper happy. He's shifting him out.
You know, no one needs to give me pocket money and whatnot. But yeah, man, look, you work all your life, right? Or you study all your life to get to this point, right? Of high school, A levels, uni, etc., masters, and then yeah, man, over the moon. You know, I was so over the moon that I didn't even ask. Like, you know, I was like, yes, I accept. You know,
So
I was like, yeah, I accept.
didn't know what the T's and
Yeah,
C's were.
exactly.
7 days a week.
Yeah,
So you finally got your break.
yeah,
Graduate electrical engineer.
correct.
You said it was a big consultancy.
Yep.
So in your eyes, dream achieved. Or at
Yes.
least you thought, you know what? Fair crack, you know?
Yep.
Because what came next probably shaped you more than university ever did as well, right?
Yeah, of course. Like, it's your first job, right? So graduate role. There's obviously a training scheme, learning.
So what was it
development.
like, your first role in industry?
I remember like starting my first day, obviously it's first week, first couple of months, it's a bit slow, you know, kind of getting your head around like what actually electrical engineers do on projects, you know, learning the softwares, for example, CAD, Revit, Dialogs, etc. And then, yeah, I mean, I was proper like motivated during then because obviously my first job, you have to be motivated, right? But yeah, man, like straight from the get-go, straight from the bat, working on a big project, Stansted Airport. And then, yeah, man, I managed to like get a few projects under my belt, felt like I was finding my feet. And then, yeah, man, like halfway through my graduate scheme, so 1 year in, there was opportunity to go on a site secondment, right?
Is this Crossrail?
Crossrail.
Okay, tell me about
So
Crossrail.
big project, as everyone's aware, or hopefully you are aware, but basically it's the new Elizabeth line, right? So the company that I work for, a different team, they done the heads and the design for the shafts and head houses for the project, like I think 5 or 6 sites. And basically the contractor was a joint venture between two big players. They actually approached the company and said, look, we're looking for some design engineers to come help us get things over the line a little bit. So this is a good opportunity, and this is why I kind of rate the company that I work for as well, because they were very big on training development. They said, everyone's always said to me, you know, like my uncles, for example, who are engineers, they said, look, site experience is unmatched. You should get that under your belt. So like as soon as that opportunity came, I was just chomping at the bit. I thought, you know what, let me accept. I want to go. I'll put my name forward straight away. But yeah, it was a different sort of experience, right? I'm sure you come more from a site background, you know, like.
I prefer site.
And you know what, even me, maybe let me talk about how that experience was, you know. But it was a totally different experience, like going from office.
So you were in an office?
Yeah, I was obviously at the company I was working for as a graduate. You're in an office space 5 days a week, whatever it is. a bit more of a quieter sort of environment.
So now you're
a
going
bit
on
more
site like Bob the Builder.
Yeah.
You're wearing PPE, overalls and everything.
Exactly.
Got ya.
But it was still site offices, but like it was a different sort of environment because you're going from like a politically correct sort of environment, a bit more subtle and things like that, to kind of go into a site office, on site.
Now you're on site.
Yep.
Brilliant. You've gone from a design office to site. Was there a moment where something clicked? Did you start thinking, oh, hold on, the pieces are coming together?
100%, because it's a different sort of, how can I say it? Like, it's a different experience because in design or consultancy, you are kind of in the office looking at screens, doing design, calculations, drawings, etc. Whereas on site, you're actually seeing how things come to life, right? It's a bit more bureaucratic to an extent, right? A lot of documentation, a lot of method statements, for example, things like that. And maybe just to kind of rewind back, I came in to the project during just when the installation's ending, but the testing commissioning started, right?
Very interesting phase.
Yeah. Probably the most interesting phase, I would say, in the industry, right? In the construction industry. Because you see how the systems are coming on or how they're being tested. Do they actually, have they been, how, if they've been designed, how it's coming to fruition, right? Or are they operating how they've been designed? But yeah, I mean, a lot of good characters, I think one thing that kind of clicked for me was, and I kind of had to take my consultancy or designer hat off, was we're doing some like touch voltage calculations, right? We had to kind of touch voltage calculations basically to do the earthing, just to make sure that the voltage is like 50 volts or under 50 volts. So if you touch a live part, you don't get electrocuted, right? I remember I had to basically measure the length of the earth cable, and I opened up the drawing to measure. And then I remember like my MEP package manager came to me, he's like, put on your oranges, which is obviously the PPE, the oranges, the overalls. Put on your hard hat, put on your boots, go out on site, get the measuring tape and, like measure on site, right? So that's when I thought, you know what, actually it's kind of a good experience for myself because you're getting a bit more practical knowledge, And I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like people on site are a bit more technical, right? Because they're working with systems, they know how they work, they know this doesn't work, we're not looking at it from just a theoretical point of view, right? But yeah, man, amazing experience. Managed to help the company, or the contractor, should I say, get one site handed over. Obviously, Crossrail was a proper, it was behind schedule, a lot of money gone into it, etc. So we managed to kind of do that. So like, my colleagues were impressed, right? And then, this is when COVID came.
Okay. So was that a difficult period for you, or?
I think it was a difficult period for everyone, right?
Yeah, COVID was.
So like, it was like, it was unknown, right? You didn't know what it was. Like, obviously, don't want to get too political, but things kind of, took a bit longer to be in place, right? And kind of had a bit of a bad impact on society and the country. But yeah, COVID hit, so we go from on site 5 days a week. We're working from home now. Obviously, project still needs to go ahead. But then my company, my parent company, needed me back, right? So my secondment was coming to an end, but obviously COVID's hit now. So what was it called? I think furlough,
yeah.
Furlough. I remember my director at my parent company had a conversation with me. He's like, look, we need to put a couple of people on furlough. You're one of them. But the contractor, who I'm currently on the site, they want you to work for them.
Mm-hmm.
They were happy to take you back. So that was a blessing in disguise. So to an extent, rather than me be on furlough, not doing nothing, whatever.
You left a good impression.
Yeah, left a good impression. So I went back, obviously still working from home, managed to get a few more sites handed over. Clients lovely. And I think also that helped shape me. That whole experience of the site secondment kind of gave me a bit more exposure to like face-to-face meetings with the client, how things work, to an extent. And I help improve or help kind of my skill set. And not just my knowledge, but my skill set,
So was this after COVID, when things were getting back to normal?
Yeah, so like straight after COVID, I got married to my Mrs. Ikra. We had a fat wedding. We had like over 700 people. I think it was like the first
Oh, nice.
It was like the first big wedding after COVID. You know, obviously everything's on lockdown. You know,
Cheers for the invite.
I didn't know you back then. But yeah, the site's secondment after 1.5 years kind of came to an end, and then it was time for me to go back to my parent company because they needed me back. Went back to parent company, but then like I felt when I was started working on projects, mainly like resi, commercial, wasn't of interest of me too much. You know, that's when like my motivation started dipping a little bit. When it happens, right, you go through peaks and troughs, right? When it comes to motivation and focus and things like that. But also because during my site secondment, I was exposed to a bit more technical things, right? So like MV power or transformers, you know, you're seeing all these stuff, seeing how they're doing switching from one supplier to the other on a switchboard, for example. More in-depth studies you're doing on site because you have to, right? All the onus goes on the contractor to carry out a bit more in-depth studies, right? And then that's when my motivation started lacking a bit because we're not doing this as a consultancy because we're working on different types of projects, right? That's when I was like, you know what? Motivation's dipping. I feel like I need a change. You know, I can't see myself here, you know?
So you got married, had a wedding, went back to your parent company.
Yep.
So look, you mentioned that the seconded company wanted you back.
Yep.
Now, if I was your parent company, I'd be well impressed. So that's good. You've left a good impression.
Yep.
Anything from the parent company in terms of a promotion or
Yeah. I mean,
pay
like,
rise?
during that period, I got a promotion. So I went from a grad to engineer, should we call it? Intermediate
Hold on.
engineer. So yeah, alhamdulillah. But yeah, I mean, after the site secondment was done, right, and I had to go back to my parent company, that's when my mindset changed a little bit. I felt like I was maybe a bit more demotivated, and reason being was obviously the type of projects, maybe not technically challenging to an extent, maybe not doing the in-depth studies that I was exposed to on my site secondment. So I wanted to kind of be more involved in technical things, right? As an electrical engineer, as an engineer, you want to be involved in more technical things to kind of help increase your knowledge. And then also, I think money was a factor as well, man. You know, like, look.
Money finds good people, guys. I tell you that right now. Do not jump for the cream. Let it come. It will. If you're good at your trade, I can assure you, you will, inshallah, be earning the cream.
Now, look, hands down, you're right. I agree. But look, bro, like, I'll give you an example. My dad always says this, right? Money isn't everything, but money helps. And yeah, look, obviously now I'm married. You know, you have more responsibilities, right? You got to be the provider for your missus. So naturally, I'm going to be thinking, how do I do that, right? I got to earn more to do, you know, and fulfill my duties, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And like, believe it or not, in the site secondment, I'm doing 9-hour, 10-hour shifts, right? And we're getting paid that overtime because contractually, my parent company, we're 8-hour shift. So that's a little bit of, you can imagine we're working, 5 days a week. That's quite a hefty amount, you know, kind of your salary is going up when you're seeing your monthly paycheck. But now when you've gone back, and
it's directly proportional to the time.
True, it's directly proportional, but at the same time, it does affect you a little bit because then when you are reaching or trying to see the salary increment, you know, when it comes to like 2 years is done now, get the promotion, it's not what I expected, especially when I'm impressing people at a different company, you know?
So you worked on Crossrail, you got married, had a big wedding.
Yep.
It's a different kind of responsibility, right?
Of course.
I'm just telling you how I see it.
Yep.
You've built confidence. So outside looking in, everything seems to be going well, but I sense that you're not happy and you may have itchy feet.
Yeah, so like at that particular period, like I said, I didn't have that interest anymore in the projects I was working on. And you know, that's when you know you got to make a change, right? So one thing that I wanted to do, as I've mentioned, is a bit more technically challenging projects. So I started looking at data centers, right? Which, you know, I'm not sure if anybody knows what data center is, but
you need it for everyday life.
Yes. People describe it as a shed with just loads of servers, you know?
Posh Asdas.
Yes. So those are more technically challenging sort of projects, or even like a hospital or something like that, right? That's when I was like, look, let me try and explore my opportunities, my different options in terms of like maybe other companies. Let me go on to the next part of my career, right?
So we're blaming Crossrail for why you're deviating. Is that what we're saying?
Potentially.
We're blaming because you did a stint in Crossrail.
Yeah.
Now you want a career change.
Yeah, I mean, look, the company I worked for, they were good, very good company. But again, it was just the projects. So it was more project orientated, my decision, yeah. Obviously, money is a factor. But yeah, man, got a couple of job offers, right? Some consultancies, but also MP contractor. They were building a new in-house design team where, that's where I met you, right?
Yes, me and Z crossed paths in London together.
So yeah, I went with working at that particular MP contractor in-house design team. They work on data centers as well. Quite a good reputation, I would say. Obviously met you there. Did work on data center projects when I started. Obviously, it was still a similar environment to where I'm coming from, but the tasks were more like design verification, design validation, rather than doing the actual design itself, because we were a small team, new team, right? And I'm sure you're aware of that because you were the PM on some of those jobs. Not the greatest PM, must I say? Nah, I'm joking.
It's all right. You know what I mean? Rome wasn't built in a day. Still learning.
So yeah, like I said, we weren't doing the design, right? We're reviewing the design. We're sub consulting the data center designs out. And I remember thinking to myself, like 9 months in, I was like, I haven't done a data center design, so how can I critique another design? Do you get what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
It's like you cooking something, right? Or sorry, no, you critiquing someone else's cooking, but you never cooked that dish. It's the
I
same.
do that a lot.
I know, that's why I put that analogy in.
I do that a lot.
But yeah, man, that's when I thought, you know what, I need to go get some pure design experience. So 9 months in, I jumped ship. Maybe not the best thing to do, because, like, people do kind of look at those things in your career, like, in your CV, like, only 9 months. That's a bit strange. Like, I remember a recruiter calling me one time, some Scottish lad, nice chap. And he was like, look, I've got this opportunity. It's a fully remote consultancy, only do data centers, offering this much. I was like, yeah, you know what? It was similar to what I was on at that particular time, maybe a little bit more. I remember there was this one guy, got to give him a shout out, I won't mention his name, but another brother, I actually spoke to him way before, right? Because I was trying to get into data centers, etc. And he was in that. He actually worked for this company. So then I started asking him, like, oh, what's this company like? He's like, look, amazing company, very technically sound, etc. So only thing was, this was a fully remote company. So that means going from, as you're aware, 5 days a week in the office, right, to fully remote. That's a big change.
Z was doing no work, he had 10 toes up, and he was relaxing.
So yeah, started this company, a new company, fully remote. It was good, man. Obviously getting to know the design.
But were you straight into projects or what?
Straight into projects.
So it was good.
So
it was a fast-paced
Yes,
company straight
exactly.
into it.
And you know how data centers are, man. They're fast-paced projects, right? But I think at that time, it was a bit of a hard transition as well, because, like, when you're in the office, you kind of like, when you're 5 days a week in the office, you're kind of motivated to work a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, everyone's working around you. But when you're in at home 5 days a week, you're in your comfort zone. Do you know what I mean?
So you've had another, would you say you've had another dip in motivation?
And maybe not a dip, but I weren't like, I felt like my motivation was kind of dipping a little bit, but I just felt I was taking too long on certain things. And I remember getting a warning from the directors, and he was like, look,
Don't incriminate yourself.
the feedback for the first 2 months hasn't been that great. Like, like, maybe you're doing all right work, but it's not maybe what the expectations are. Do you get what I mean? So then that's when I was like, you know what, I got like
Up the game.
Up the game. That's when, obviously, afterwards, past probation, doing well, getting my head around data centers, how, the calculations, how they work, etc. Because it's a different type of building, right, compared to a resi or commercial. And then, yeah, man, managed to get like a couple of data center projects under my belt in terms of the full-on designs. Working for a contractor as well, as in we were the contractor's consultant. That was a really good experience. 2 years in now, right? 2 years in now. I remember, I think you know the brother as well. He made the move to the Middle East, right?
AK.
Shout out AK. I remember, because the worst thing is I met AK through LinkedIn. Imagine that. Like, and we were talking about LinkedIn's amazing platform, right?
I use it like my media. I don't really have much social media.
Same.
So for me, LinkedIn's a big tool.
So we're plugging LinkedIn right now, but yeah.
Sponsor us.
I met AK through LinkedIn. Because he was in data centers, so I wanted to get into data centers, maybe revert in the back a bit, and I messaged him, good brother, responded, had a call with him, etc. Also, I met up with him a few times afterwards because whenever he was in London, and I remember having a conversation with him like 2 years into this new company, and he was making the move to the Middle East, right? And I said to him, bro, don't forget me, yeah? And a year later, maybe not even a year later, maybe like 9 months in, after that, he called me out of the blue, right? And he was like, look, my directors approached me and said, look, we need some UK engineer. Do you know anyone? AK said to me, drop whatever you're doing, update your CV, and send it to me by tonight.
So not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow.
Today.
We know how the Middle East works, and that's exactly
Quick
how
pace.
it works. Quick pace. You got to do it. No, time ain't waiting for nobody, right?
AK told you to update today.
Yep.
So what are you doing?
So that night, dropped everything, straight away updated my CV, sent it to him that night. Obviously, next morning, he's referred me, for example, right?
What were you thinking about the Middle East? Was that ever on the agenda?
You know what? I'll go back a little bit. The reason also I wanted to become an engineer was it gives you opportunity to travel, work in different countries, right? Engineers are required everywhere, right? There's a shortage of skilled engineers in every continent, every corner of the world. So it was always in my goals and ambitions. I did want to work abroad, not just maybe the Middle East, but elsewhere as well, you know? Like we go on factory acceptance tests and stuff like that. You enjoy that stuff, right? Because you get to travel, you get to see new things. But yeah, it was always in my mind, especially in the Middle East, you know? So yeah, it was something that I had in the back of my mind, but not at this part of my career or life. You know, I was thinking maybe a bit more further ahead. But yeah, man, what happened afterwards was I obviously get the call that, look, we want to invite you for an interview, right? We like your CV, etc. Went through the process, went through the stages, managed to get the job, alhamdulillah, you know, by the grace of Allah. And yeah, man, like similar story to yours in terms of, you know, like making that move, like it was already made up in my mind, you know?
So CV goes through, you go through the process.
Yep.
Job's pretty much yours. Everything should be all right, yeah?
Yeah.
And you should be happy, singing, sailing, ready to go.
So like just before maybe I think I had my notice period in whatever for like 3 months, whatever it was. And then during that time, my dad's going through a bit of health issues, right?
SubhanAllah.
So he's going through a bit of testing and stuff like that, right? And the specific testing is very specific for a certain type of illness, right? Prostate cancer. But my dad's a bit positive. He's a happy-go-lucky type of guy, optimistic sort of guy. So the way he's kind of like shrugging things off, like I'm not really thinking about, just it could be anything, old age kicking in, etc. But then the bombshell news hits a calamity, which is that he's actually been diagnosed with prostate cancer. Now, like people say, which is a bit weird that people say this, but they say like prostate cancer is like the best cancer you can have. But in my opinion, that's just like the most stupidest thing because cancer's cancer. It can spread and kill you no matter what. It doesn't matter if it's the most easily curable one, right? So obviously now, like, it's, all sort of, things are running through your head,
Yeah, what's going through your mind?
Oh, like...
you also got the job there as well.
Exactly. Like, obviously, I've accepted a job, and now in my mind is like, look, I got to be there for my dad, innit? It's your parents at the end of the day,
100%.
right? Like, they were there for you when you were a kid. Look, you have unconditional love for your parents, and, especially something like that can, be detrimental to their health and stuff. You want to be there for them, right? Yeah, man, I was gutted, Obviously, we knew that there is treatment and it is curable, but, like, I think the way his cancer was where it was potentially spread, right? And that's what I was more worried about because once it's potentially spread, it's not,
Can't contain it.
yeah, it's not contained in a certain place in the prostate. At least if it's spread, then it could be even more worse, because when it spreads like that, right? Cancer spreads so quickly. But yeah, man, that's when like I was like, you know what, I'm gonna not go to the Middle East.
So ready to walk away from the opportunity?
Yeah, ready to walk away. Obviously, look, sometimes you got to do these things, innit?
You tell your dad that?
Yeah, no, obviously my parents, I did say to them, look, I'm gonna, stay. Obviously, we just want to make sure you're all right. But then I remember my dad had a, one-to-one conversation with me. He was like, look, son, these opportunities come once in a lifetime, you know? Sometimes you got to take that risk. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I haven't been much of a risk taker in my life. Like, I feel like my dad and my brother, for example, they're a bit more bigger risk takers than me. I've always tried to play it safe, right? You know, like you said, like going through, you know, the educational route, conventional route, is all that sort of stuff, right? Whereas my dad, business owner, he took a risk, you know, things like that. He was like, look, I'll be okay, you know? We'll go through the treatment. I got, you know, my mum's there to help look after him. My brother's there as well. He's like, I'll be okay, but, you know, this is your fate. It's your destiny. Go and, you know, take that opportunity with both hands, yeah? And don't worry, inshallah, like, when I'm cured, I'm going to come see you out there, innit? So now, obviously, look, I did ponder on it, pray this to Kara. And now, obviously, naturally, bro, you also have to consult with your missus, right? About the move. It's a big step, you know? You're leaving behind your normal life, essentially, you know, being back in the UK. It's a whole different...
Get a wife and then you get a knife. Or no, happy
wife, happy life. Yeah?
That's...
So obviously, look, it's a big move. Had to consult with her as well. Made prayer to God. Obviously, that time was a bit of a difficult time, man. Like, there was a lot going on, to be honest, as well. And, like, it's a big thing for my missus as well, having to leave her behind, her family and friends, move to a whole different country, something that she's not... or a place that she's not aware of or, you know, comfortable in. So, like, it's a big decision, right? It's massive decision that you make moving to a whole different country.
Yeah, for sure, man. Can only imagine.
But then, yeah, my parents were, like, very supportive, and they said, look, don't worry, I'll be cured, and everything will be all right. So, yeah.
Can't lie to you, that's deep, man. But listen, I'm a very emotional guy when it comes to family, so I can only imagine. I can't relate. I can relate to other family members, but having that conversation, obviously, with your dad, what that mean to you? That obviously gave you, was it reassurance, or was it positive, or what did you feel after that?
I was positive, but at the same time, bro, like, you're still having loads of things in your mind, innit? Like you probably know me, I'm a bit of an overthinker. So you're thinking all sorts of scenarios, which is just like, you know, because like when I've spoken to people about this particular type of cancer, some people have been positive, saying, oh, it's the most easiest curable cancer. But then some people are telling me that when it spreads, it's, you know, people have perished. So it's just like, you're looking at that and you're thinking, damn, like how selfish would I be if I was to go, you know, and then also not being, God forbid anything happens to my dad, like I'm all the way on the other side of the world, right? So like, luckily for me, Mrs. was supportive as well, you know, having to kind of leave behind her family, etc. And then obviously my parents were supportive as well.
Fair play, man. It's not easy leaving London town. So looking back now, do you think you would have made that move without that conversation?
I probably wouldn't have. So Mrs. was on board, had her blessings, obviously had parents' blessings as well.
So you had to get the missus' blessing.
Reassured me, brother kind of reassured me, family member reassured me, like, look, we'll look after him, you know, and he'll be cured. And, you know, like I said, look, my parents are very positive people compared to maybe me as being a pessimist. But yeah, I mean, alhamdulillah, he's, you know, was cured, I think, after going through the treatment. I think it maybe took like 12 months. But alhamdulillah, you know, he's cured now, you know, and yeah, man, I'm here, you know, managed to make the move to the Middle East. Obviously a bit emotional, you know, but like I said to you, I was always an independent person. Always was an explorer, always was curious, always wanted to work abroad. So yeah.
It kind of links into that we're never guaranteed tomorrow kind of thing. So look, kudos to yourself.
Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, we've all been through a story, listening to your story, because every time something didn't go to plan, it actually pushed you somewhere better or different. You didn't get civil engineering, you ended up in electrical engineering.
Exactly.
You didn't get a job, you went and did a master's. You think you wasted a year, you got the opportunity that started your career.
Yep.
You leave comfort, you end up in data centers. You get to the Middle East, the opportunity. SubhanAllah, then your dad gives you the push you needed at a crucial stage.
Yep.
What do you make of that now?
Like I said, I'm a believer in divine fate and destiny. So this is all written. This is how my story is meant to be. You know, all the hardships, all the setbacks, you know, all the times you're down and out. But essentially all of these are, you know, trials and tribulations, right? Lessons learned. And it's what shapes you as an individual, helps shape your mindset, you know, you as a person, your character, your personality as well. So yeah, man, look, I'm grateful, you know, to the one above for kind of taking me through my journey. And yeah, you know what, it's just got to stay positive all the time. And you know, like, he'll provide, you know.
100%. SubhanAllah. What a story. Or Z, that was deep, man. There's stories there that I didn't even know.
100%. I mean, like, you know, there's always stories behind everyone, right? That maybe you might not know, even though we've known each other for such a long time.
100%. And it's crazy, really. And it's precisely one of the reasons Site Access
Agreed.
exists. Like, a platform for people to come on and just tell the story.
Yep. Have a coffee.
Chit chat.
Chill, yeah.
Good old natter.
Exactly.
So if you liked what you saw today, show us some love. Follow, subscribe, comment. Send it to someone that needs to hear it. Until next time.
Keep building your story.
We'll see you on Site Access.